The Night She Disappeared by Lise Jewell, published by Penguin, and this is a psychological thriller that is set in the Surrey Hills. I listened to this once again as an audiobook, and I've really got into the habit of going on fairly long walks, maybe 5, 6, not that long really, and listening to a podcast or an audiobook, and it's a nice way to just do those walks and watch everything develop as the seasons move on. Obviously we've been here sort of like 16, 18 months now with lockdown and exercise, and I've really enjoyed this. And Joanne Froggatt does a really good job of capturing the various nuanced voices of the characters. There are quite a few characters, and there are 2 different timelines separated by several months. And she has to, find a real range. She has to get sort of like an entitled, rich lot of people, and she has to distinguish between older and younger males and females. So she does a pretty good job on that. It's fairly hard to know where to start because it's a fairly convoluted storyline, but don't let that put you off because the author does a really good job of running the timelines and feathering in the different bits of the story. So maybe if I start with Sophie. Sophie has moved to Maple House, and she is living there with her partner who has become the new head. Maple House is a place where young rich people who flunked their exams have gone to resit and study and get whatever they need. And she's living in a cottage. It's the headmaster's cottage, and off the back garden is this incredibly daunting and dark forest. At the other side of the forest is Dark House or Dark Place, and that is a very posh house, and a very posh family, a very rich family has been living in there. And she knows there is a bit of a mystery because 2 young teenagers went missing quite a few months ago. Tallulah and Zach, they were living together, they had a little baby, she was very, very young. And she just up one evening and she went with her boyfriend for a date night, and they never came back. So there's a real mystery around the whole fictional place called Manton in the Surrey Hills. And she is a fiction writer and she writes crime mysteries, so she is really well placed to kind of follow up because the mystery was never solved and those 2 kids are still missing. She discovers that Tallulah was befriended or was friends with Scarlett, who was the daughter of Dark Place and the family who lived there. And, they came from very different sides of the track, and it seemed like an unlikely friendship. So there's a lot to unpick there. And one day, when she discovers that there is a handwritten note that says, "dig here," with an arrow pointing down, she does dig there. And she discovers an item, and that item almost gives her permission to start looking into this mystery. There is a painting that will give up clues, perhaps. There are people from the time who she can go and talk to who were familiar with Tallulah and Scarlett and Zach and the whole setup. So she's got quite a lot of sleuthing that she can go on to do, and indeed she does. This was a novel that had me quite gripped to the end. It goes all over the place quite happily. It comes together. There aren't any real gaps that, will kind of leave you hanging. So it was a nice, well brought together piece of writing, a good narrative, and I really enjoyed it.